Good afternoon and welcome once again to our Midday Mull today for Tuesday the 7th of April. Again today I walked up to the church, rang the bell at 12 o'clock to tell the world that the church continues, albeit differently, then came into the empty church, spent some time praying, reading God's word and mulling over what God might be saying to us. And I was struck the other day when I went to the shops for one of those brief exits to go and do the shopping, get some vegetables, some bread and some milk. As I came out of the shop, I was met by one of the beggars that hangs around the shopping centre asking for some help. And he seemed to have a more genuinely desperate look in his eyes. So I gave him something. I was more generous than I would normally have been. And I thought, if he's making ends meet and keeping himself alive by begging day by day, at this point in time when people aren't going to the shops and there's no one there and there's not so many people you can ask for help and people are nervous and a little less aware of what's going on and a little less confident about things, he's probably having a really difficult time. And then today, as I was walking up to the church, somebody was walking down the street and called my attention and asked if we didn't have something to give him some food. I said, unfortunately, we're not bringing food to the church because everybody's in lockdown, but we did have some EPUB we could give him, which he received very gratefully. And I was struck by how, although we are inconvenienced by this lockdown, I think there are people for whom it is becoming even more challenging, and possibly for some of them a matter of life and death. And I was struck as I was reading today from Paul's letter to the Thessalonians, the 4th chapter. He says to them in verse 9, "Now about your love for one another, we do not need to write to you, for you yourselves have been taught by God to love each other. And in fact, you do love all of God's family throughout Macedonia. Yet we urge you, brothers and sisters, to do so more and more, and to make it your ambition to lead a quiet life. You should mind your own business and work with your hands just as we told you, so that your daily life may win the respect of outsiders, and so that you will not be dependent on anyone." Again, some basic common sense that Paul shares. Do the work you can to provide for yourself. In our current economic circumstances, that's not always possible for people. But for those of us where we can do it, we need to be doing it. And it is done not just so we can provide for ourselves, but so that we can love one another as he's told us to. And our challenge will be in the days ahead to love. Amen.